Well, welcome to another episode of The Billy Ho Show. I'm at Camp Adair, and I wonder if you came here in your life. I came here when I was about 10, and I came again when I was 11. I remember getting on the bus, which was by High Street in the city, and a whole bunch of other kids got on as well who I didn't know. But I just remember that bus had an interesting grill. Anyway, I found out later it was actually a Mack bus, and you could tell it was a Mack bus that had artillery wheels. And we all came out on the bus, and I just remember it had a little slot underneath where they put a lot of our bags. And I also remember part of the equipment they had to bring was a ground sheet, about a metre square ground sheet, and Mum had a lot of trouble trying to find one of those. But anyway, we found one, and the driver stuck it all in this little compartment underneath where they put prams and things like that back in the day. But I was worried about my bag falling out and losing this very expensive ground sheet. But anyway, we all got here safely, and we had a lot of fun. Organised games, organised activities, walks, and it was just tremendous. 10 days of absolute fun. And I just remember in there we had to eat all together in a big hall, and before we had our meal we had to sing grace, and we all had to stand up, and away we went. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in that hall over there and see if I can remember how to sing grace. It was just something I remember. I'm in the hall where everybody used to gather in 1957 and 1958, and these are probably still the same forms all that year ago. But when everybody got settled, the staff and everybody else sat up on the stage behind me, and all the kids stood up, and it was time to say grace. And grace wasn't just you didn't say it, you actually sang it. And so it goes something like this. Be present at our table, Lord. Be here and everywhere adored. These mercies bless and grant that we may for thy service present be. Amen. And out there is where everybody played. They had little huts all the way out the side there. They're not there anymore. They've obviously sort of made new ones. But the lady was just telling me before, you've got 180 kids in here, 180 kids. There's probably about 100 here when I was here in 1957 and 1958. But it was a wonderful place. This hall was the main assembly point, and what happened, or what was going to happen for the day, they told you up on the stage, and you either went on a walk to Cossey's Creek, or you went to the Hunua Falls, when there's a creek that runs down the middle there, and you went and played in little canoes and things they had. And the canoes were interesting. They were made of corrugated iron, all bent in the shape of a canoe. And then after that, there's a bridge down the road there, and I'll just remember some great stuff about having some wonderful times around that bridge. So we walked to the bridge and had pancakes. So let's go and have a look at this bridge. This is a bridge about 1 kilometre away from Camp Adair, and our little group, there'd probably be about 10 guys or 10 people in our group, and we had a leader, a lady, I can't remember what her name was, but we went down there. There was a bit of a ledge back then, and looking at this river, it looks like it's been flooded a few times, and I'm talking 66 years ago. So it was probably quite different, but this is the creek, the same creek that runs past the camp itself. But down there was a bit of a ledge, and before we left, we all got this little canister of pancake mix, and she had a little fry pan about this big, and she had a little cooker thing, and so we got some water out of this creek and then shook up the pancake mix, and then took the lid off and poured it into her fry pan, and we all did it one at a time. And we had a pancake. And the lady had the butter and the jam, so once we cooked our pancake, of course, we bit of butter, bit of jam, rolled it up, and it was wonderful. We had a wonderful adventure under this bridge just down there, but it's just one of the things I remember. So the man who ran the place was a man called Skip Elliott. He was the boss. And he would come with his kids, but he wouldn't walk, he'd come in his car. And his car was an Austin Westminster 95. And I thought that was a very flash car of the time. But so what I thought we'd do is we'd go and find an Austin Westminster 95 and have a chat about it. So let's see if we can go and find an Austin Westminster. With me is Barry, and Barry, welcome to our little show. And what you've got here is a Austin Westminster. There it is there, 1958 Austin Westminster. And I was just telling a story earlier about being at Camp Adair out at Hunua, and a bloke called Skip Elliott. He was the bloke who ran it out there in 1958. And he had one of these. So I guess because he's got one of these, he must have had overseas funds to get it in the first place.
Could have done.
Yeah, because I think you needed that overseas to buy a brand new car back in that time. But I thought, wow, that's pretty flash, and I got a chance to look at the engine, and it just looked absolutely enormous to a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Looking at it. But this is absolutely original.
Completely.
The paint,
the upholstery, carpets, everything.
Engine
is the original motor. It has been rebored.
Oh, okay. Wow. And do you get this on the road much?
Yeah. When there's runs, I do use this car for long trips.
Oh, okay.
More than around town.
Right. Because I'm just looking at those seats there. I had a Westminster, but the next model up, I think it was like the Wolseley 110.
Same motor.
Yeah. But that had a little by the seat, and you could just sink into the leather seat, put your arm there and out the window. And
yeah, well, it does have seat armrests on it.
So they've started. They've got the armrest business going.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on them. Leather?
Yeah, that's leather in there.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure it'll have that, as soon as you get in there, it just takes you back to the day with that smell of old cars. But Austin, there was a model before this. It didn't look like this, a bit squarer.
Yeah, an A90.
Oh, okay. Still, was that 6 cylinders?
Same motor.
Yeah, wow.
That was the first motor, first time
of
they
the big
used
cars.
that motor.
And that was an A90, not a Westminster.
Just an A90 Westminster.
Oh, it was called a Westminster. Oh, okay.
Square shape.
Yeah.
More square than this.
Yes. And so they've rounded it off.
Yeah.
And then the next one after this is that Farina or whatever it's called, shaped at that.
A99, then the A110.
Yeah. Okay. I just love the little flying A on the front here.
Yeah.
And when did you know when that kicked off? When that started sort of appearing on cars? Because I had a
A90 had it on, and the A30s.
Yeah, that's right. Because I had a little A30.
I think that was the first. Right. Started that I can remember.
Yeah, the flying A.
Flying A. It's me and a couple of others, and my wife started the Flying A Club.
Looking at these headlights, just sort of starting from the beginning, they've got this little hood arrangement already built in. So the designers are thinking, well, rather than get people to buy one of those little hood things, we'll actually make one, and that's what they've done.
Yeah.
And there's a little air intake here. Is that what it is for the air?
Yes, for the heat, air condition inside.
Oh, okay.
Go straight through, and the heaters.
Oh, right. So this is for
the air.
Nothing to do with the engine.
No.
No. Wow.
No engine through underneath there.
You learn a new thing every day.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at the engine?
Yep. I'll have to go around this way.
Yeah, yep. Nice big foldy over bonnet.
It's very heavy, this.
And it's got a little locking pin in the corner there. which is great. I mean, you got those things these days with the little air,
Yeah.
but the air.
Air ones, no, that one works well. Some of them don't, but that one always has.
That is one very huge engine. So Barry, this through the bonnet. It's got this little tube comes out of there.
Down onto there,
Yep.
and the back of it goes onto there, which will blow that vent will open by a knob inside your switches. And see the vent in behind?
Yes, I see that.
That you can open that or close it. And it's winter time, so it's closed.
That's amazing. Most modern cars that have got something on the bonnet is to do with the engine, nothing to do with the air
No, it's nothing to, as you can see, nothing to do with the engine at all. It's completely sealed off from the engine.
Yeah. Is this the information about the engine, or is it a registration number?
No, it's
It says 012.
yeah, it's the gap for the
Spark plugs.
points.
Points, right.
The rocker cover.
And it says on here,
I've always run it on Castrol
ISO, just a different order it
2050,
takes, yeah.
ever since I had it.
Wow. And the other thing about this thing, you can see the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of modern cars, all you see is this great big plastic thing across
When
the top.
I bought this, that motor was sitting beside it.
Oh, okay.
It had a run bearing, so I had it rebored when I bought it in 1989. And since then I haven't laid a spanner on it.
Wow. Wow. That's a big wow.
Except plugs and points.
Yeah. Okay.
That should be automatic, but it's not.
A little assistance required.
You want to have a lift to that?
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Oh.
You have a...
Oh.
It's made of steel. You just let it go.
So if you hit somebody, they stay hit.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, here I am in the cafe, and it's just like going back to 1950. The chairs of the time, Formica I think it's all called, and the black and white floors. There's Elvis Presley over there, there's a jukebox over there, there's memorabilia behind me, that beautiful montage of cars behind me. There's even an old Dodgem. Remember the Dodgems that they used to show? Boom, boom, boom. Wonderful. And I'm having a big breakfast. It's bacon and eggs. And so if you come here with your group to have a look at the museum, you can sit down and have a wonderful meal before you even start. So look at that. Bacon and eggs, sausages, tomatoes, toast, mushrooms, the whole 9 yards. And a cup of tea to wash it all down. So there you go. When you come here, come and have a meal first and then enjoy yourself in the museum. Well, I'm at Fully Equipped, and Fully Equipped is where they make crown canopies. And in 1993 I did an ad, you might remember, where I took a canopy off a ute, put a little outboard motor on it, out and caught a fish or two, and then came back and kicked the door down like a landing ramp, and woohoo! And that just sort of, there's two guys on the beach watching me do it, and I sort of scratched my head, how am I going to get out to those birds? Ah, I know, the canopy. So that worked a real treat. Now we've done another ad. They thought 30 years on it's time to do another one, and which I'll show you in just a minute. But first of all, this is where they make the canopies. It's a huge process they go through. It takes about a week, I think, for one canopy to sort of be completed from woe to go, and they make them of fiberglass. They polish this fiberglass, and it goes right through this whole factory and pops out the other end where they put in the windows, and then when it gets put on a ute, they do that here as well. They make sure everything's all waterproof, and then it's all finished, and the customer drives the ute away. And they've got a few utes stacked up round the back there waiting for their canopies. But one of the problems is the ones that are coming over, the utes that are coming over from overseas, they get held up, and of course production lines here get held up. So this is one of the reasons why there's so many canopies behind me, is just waiting for the utes to come off the boat so they can fit them. So that's pretty much that. But crown canopies, you can do all sorts of things with them. as you know. But keeping your gear dry is one of them. You can go camping in them, of course. You can just sort of chuck a mattress on the back of your ute and have a bit of a snooze while you're four-wheel driving and things like that around the country. Would you like to come and catch a pig with me tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Excellent. Barry, the instruments, there's two typical English instruments.
Temperature, oil.
Nicely laid out there. It's got a clock in the middle.
Which doesn't go. But
it doesn't go, but
I can get it fixed.
And the air conditioning is those two levers to your left-hand side there. Yep. And CPWS, so you got Windows starter, is it?
Yep. Choke. Panel lights, window wipers, starter.
Do you pull that or push that?
Push it.
Turn the key and push it. Oh, yep. Fair enough. Underneath all that, there's
the bonnet, B for bonnet.
Yep.
The A is that flap I was talking about.
Yep.
The H for hood. It must be for that too.
And then there's the little pistol grip handbrake, and that's right beside the steering wheel.
Yep.
A little lever on it. And back in the day, when you went for your license, you had to stop on a hill.
Yep.
And how easy was that handbrake to operate with?
All right.
Yep, works.
Yeah. I had my license when I bought this. So.
Yeah, right. So, and then there's is that the Austin logo in the middle of the steering wheel?
Yep.
And then there's a horn ring.
Yep.
Yep. Very good. And do you find that dashboard a bit high?
No, not for me. A lot of people, the steering wheel is, a lot of people look through.
Right.
But I can see over it. I can see the bonnet, the A.
That's one hell of a steering wheel, so obviously there's no power steering.
That is for real.
Well,
Blinkers over here.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah. So they've gone past the little doofer that pokes out the side.
Yep. No.
Yep. And we've got proper blinking lights.
Yep.
Ashtrays in the back.
Yeah, and in the front.
Oh, look at that. No, that's the thing of the past. I don't really see many ashtrays in modern cars these days, no. So it's got 4 cylinders. There's 4 on the tree.
Yep. Still only in second. It's probably wind up here. You can wind it up to about 40 miles an hour a second. Big, long stroke motor. I don't use low.
Oh, okay. Absolutely marvellous, folks. This is an outstanding original vehicle, if ever I saw one. And Barry, thank you very, very much.
It's all right, no problem.
Excellent. Well, I've come into the museum now, and just looking around, there's all sorts of cars from the 50s and 60s, 30s. There's a couple of 20s in here even, and it's a magnificent collection. So there's lots and lots of stuff in this museum for you to look at, lots and lots of stuff that's going to take you right back to the day. And if you're new, well, There's lots of stuff here about New Zealand history. So if you come here, you're coming to Railside Place, which is off Rifle Range Road in Hamilton. Certainly worth a look if you belong to a car club or some sort of a club and you want a place to go. This is the place to come, and you can start off with a meal in the cafe. Come and have a look, enjoy yourselves. I absolutely recommend it. Christmas isn't all that far away, and so if you're looking for a present for the truck driver or somebody interested in transport in your life, then my Talking Trucks book might be just the thing. So if you'd like a copy, just email me, billhohepper@extra.co.nz, and I'll take your details and I'll get a copy in the post to you. Now this book covers trucks basically heading back from about 1972 to the time they started making vehicles. So a good historical book, and tells you all about the New Zealand transport industry up until about 1972. So for a Christmas present, perfect. Email me, billhohepper@extra.co.nz. This is a 1930 Light 6 Dennis Dart fire engine. It started its life down in Dunedin, and it's just an interesting vehicle. I'm sitting in the driver's seat here with the ladder just about knocking my head off. My offside will have the same problem, so I doubt if you get anybody between us. We've sort of got to lean his head forward to get under that ladder. Lots of running board for guys to stand on either side, and off you go to the fire. But the Dennis people in England, they specialised in making fire engines and rubbish trucks. They still do. They still make them today. It's just everything a fire truck should have. Can only just get my foot on the clutch. The brake is back here somewhere, so I can't actually get my foot on the brake. So if it comes to the build, you've got to drive this truck from A to B. I'll probably have to turn it down. However, the accelerators between them, but it's just an odd shape for this whole cab. Interesting little dashboard here with the revs and how fast you're going, the oil pressure and a heat gauge. And it's also interesting to note that this is the only Dennis Light 6 in the world that's still in the original condition that it came out of the factory in 1930. This is just absolutely amazing that this still exists in such mint condition. So let's take a look at that engine, and I'll try and get out of here without knocking myself out. And just an interesting aspect is what I've got here is a fire extinguisher of the time, and you just turn that, it comes out, and you just point this end at the fire and pump it away. So whether it was full of water or some sort of minerals or some sort of chemicals to put out a fire, but that's what they look like. And you saw these in buses and fire engines and cars and all sorts of other things, but this is the fire extinguisher of the time. Here's the engine. Get rid of a few of these cobwebs, but it's got a Dennis logo on the side there, and she's a big 6-cylinder solid beast. This is an Austin 7. This is the poster for it. It says a better way, breaking local boundaries. The price, £178, which in this money is about $320 to buy one of these back in the day. It says here, exchanging the commonplace things of the town for the delights of the open country. Fresh air, new scenes, the joy of speeding. and with your wife and kiddies, giving them a great fresh air life which cannot be theirs within the confines of the city. And for 29 and sixpence a week, you could pay one of these off. Isn't that amazing? Austin 7, Seabrook Fowles, Simon Street, Auckland. Seabrook Fowles was the importer of all things Austin and Morris. And you could buy those vehicles from Seabrook Fowles. Not quite sure when they went out of business, probably in the late 60s. But let's have a little look at this engine in this thing. I could just about put that in my pocket. In fact, when we looked at the little Honda Abbey a few programs ago, somebody said, you need one for your other foot, Bill. And I guess I could say the same for this. But come and have a look at this engine. Looking at this engine, it's actually that long, from there to there, long. The distributor stuck way out the side. I think it's stuck on the end of whatever that is. That might be a generator, but making the power to power up all those spark plugs. But such a little engine, giving such a lot of fun to a lot of people. Now, we'll have a look in their cab, and when you look at their cab, the size of people in the 1940s and 50s, they weren't big like us these days, but there's a ton of room in there. There is a lot of room. Not for me, but for little people. Now I could probably get in that and drive it. It's got little pedals way down in here, little accelerator, probably maybe 4, maybe 3 gears. So there's certainly a ton of room in the back there for 3 kids. No worries at all, there's a ton of room. Probably get 2 adults in there. There's certainly a room between the front seat and the back seat. Yeah, and I reckon these would be a lot of fun to go charging out into the countryside and speeding. The old Austin 7. When I was a kid, I had one of these. This is made of cast. It's a truck. I'm not quite sure what sort of a truck it's supposed to be, but we had a lot of fun of this. You get in the dirt and you load that up with dirt and sort of wheel it around to it, and then you lift this little lever and all the dirt fell out. And back down it went, and then you drove it back to the place and you loaded it up and got the dirt back in. And we just had endless fun with one of these little trucks. It was amazing. So there you go, a little bit of history. This is the motor mower of the 1950s and 60s. It's got a little throttle here, little gear lever on this side, so it drove the roller on the back, and it could drive itself across the lawn. Threw all the grass into that little catcher on the front, and it was just an amazing tool. The old motor mower. So as I was saying, I'm absolutely jealous of those motor mowers, but what we had at our place was one of these hand mowers. Had a blade there, and you sort of and the one behind it is a Massport, and they were made by Mason and Porter Limited in Auckland, and there's a couple of others as well, but these, or my one anyway, wouldn't cut past Pelham. And I was always finished the lawn, done the lawn, the old man would go out and have a look and then kick my bum saying, you haven't cut the past Pelham. And it just wouldn't cut past Pelham, so I had to get out there with a pair of scissors and chop down the past Pelham with a pair of scissors. But yeah, so this is nightmare material for me, the old push mower.